Bardstown Bourbon Company is renowned for producing award-winning blends and collaborative series releases using primarily sourced whiskeys. Until now, guys, proudly introducing Bardstown Bourbon Company's Origin Series lineup. This is part of their new core lineup. 3 different releases, one of them being a high-rye bourbon. Comes in at 96 proof. The other one being a bottled and bond wheated bourbon. And then their version of a 95.5 rye. So the full series, all of which has been distilled, aged, and bottled over at Bardstown Bourbon Company, guys. This is your first look at the 100% estate-distilled Bardstown Bourbon Company New Origin Series. Definitely excited to get into these guys. Today, we're only going to be reviewing the 96 proof version, and I'll have the other reviews posted later. Definitely excited to get into these guys. Without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, so as I stated, this is Bardstown Bourbon Company's own distillate, part of their Origin Series. This is their high-rye bourbon. Mash bill on this one is 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley. Comes in at 96 proof and is aged for 6 years. Let's go ahead and get to the nose. So with it being a high rye, you still get some of that influence from the sweetness of the corn, but then that rye spice is definitely present. Getting a nice kind of vanilla, like a creamy vanilla wafer further into the glass. Further away, got the slightest little bit of floral on the nose. And as this starts to open up a little bit more, it brings forth some of that that honey graham cracker. There's like a nice cinnamon aspect to the nose, like a cinnamon kind of nutmeg, some baking spice forwardness. Again, there's some of that like a honey graham cracker that's presented there as well. That's a little bit further into the glass. A little bit further away, I get a slight hint of like nuttiness and a little bit of a floral note. Not too strong though. Yeah, that honey graham cracker, again, slight floral note further away. Nice cinnamon, kind of nutmeg to it. Creamy vanilla wafer. Really nice nose, guys. Get in the palate. Cheers. It's definitely surprisingly sweet on the palate. Tip of the tongue is like this caramelized blood orange. Gets to the middle of the palate. Some of those rye spices start to appear there. Again, it is a high rye, 36%. I don't get the graininess of the rye, but you get that spiciness from the rye. And again, only being 96 proof, not very high on the heat level, but those rye spices kind of just sit there and tingle. And then from like the mid to back palate, it gets interesting. It's like there's this vanilla kind of like cardamom, like a black cardamom note. Slight hint of earthiness there on the back. Could be some of that cardamom, but it has like a nice kind of like minty freshness to it too, with like a slight twist with like a vanilla there on the back of the palate. Nice medium finish on it too. I mean, for 96 proof, it has a fantastic mouthfeel to it. I really like it. Let's get into the second sip, guys. Yeah, so again, like that caramelized kind of blood orange, you know, that on the front of the palate, and then like where I typically get the citrus notes, that's kind of where that like blood orange kind of starts to diminish a little bit, and then middle of the palate again is getting a lot of that rye spice still, but there's also kind of a sweet oak that starts to appear there, and then like to the back of the palate and into the finish, again, it's like a nice kind of like vanilla twist with like a black cardamom. So it has, you know, a little bit of like some mintiness, maybe a slight hit, like a hint of citrus as well. More on that kind of minty side. Very kind of refreshing as the finish goes down. And then an interesting note, like after the finish has kind of gone away, I'm left with like this almond kind of peach flavor there, like on the back of the palate, on the back of the up into the soft palate, and then through the finish. Like even after it's gone, like it's just this very slight kind of almond, like peach kind of note. Very, very slight. Again, it's not a standout note or anything, but it's definitely almost like after you were to eat an almond or after you were to eat a peach, but just kind of combined. So mildly fruity, a little bit nutty. I was getting a little bit of like some nuttiness on the nose too. I didn't think it would transfer over to the palate, but I really like it. Again, that black cardamom kind of gives it like a burst of mintiness and kind of freshness there on the back of the palate through the finish. Really nice, guys. Let's get the last sip. Cheers. So one of the things I can say about this is it's maintained its consistency. Doesn't continue to evolve very much. That second sip, I started to get a little bit of that like almond, a little bit of that like peach kind of aftertaste after the finish had gone away. But still, a lot of these flavors are still standing true. That caramelized kind of blood orange from the front into the middle of the palate there. That's kind of where it stops. And then middle of the palate is still kind of like that rye spiciness. Not a ton of flavor that's going across that mid palate other than that sweet oak. And then as it gets to the back of the palate and into the finish, again, it's like that vanilla twist on like a black cardamom where it's kind of like vanilla-y, minty kind of freshness as it kind of goes down. And then after everything has kind of gone away, you're left with like almost like a residue, if you will, of like an almond kind of peach that's twisted together, but very, very faint, very, very mild. Nothing that's, again, overly dominant or anything like that. But I tell you what, for being the first part of the Origin series that I tried, this 96 proof high-rye bourbon is really good. I'm very, very surprised by it. And it being 6 years old, again, sometimes you'll taste 6-year-old whiskey and you'll get some of that graininess, whether that's the corn or the rye, the wheat, whatever it may be. In this case, I think, it was, I think that, again, they did a really good job with this one. Again, it's not blended. It's 6 years old, straight up. But those youthful notes are hidden with some of these other like really, really nice notes. Again, there's nothing that's overly dominant. I would say there's an even balance between that, that citrus and that caramel that you're getting, and then some of that black cardamom and vanilla, that rye spice, not the grain itself, but like the rye spice. All kind of play equal parts on the palate on this one. Regardless, really nice job here by Bardstown Bourbon Company. So I thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big shout out to the team over at Bardstown Bourbon Company for supplying me with these samples here to review on the channel. Again, guys, this is a great 96 proof drinker. I think it offers a lot of flavors. It has a really nice mouthfeel to it. For someone who's really looking to get into bourbon and pay a great price point on a whiskey, again, it's 6 years. It's all 100% estate distilled. It retails for $45 for a 750 milliliter. That's in today's market. That's actually a really good price, especially coming from Bardstown Bourbon Company. You're getting a quality product. Again, really nice flavors on this one. Caramel, blood orange, kind of got that rye spice going in the back of the palate. You start to get some of that vanilla and then some of that black cardamom, as well as like a very, very faint hint of some peach and some like almond kind of mix there. Medium finish. Again, guys, really good stuff here by Bardstown Bourbon Company. But if you're looking for more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Until next time, guys, stay dusty.